Okay, we're downloading A-Game's formula.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hi. Let's just make adjustments. Hi, everybody. Good Monday. It started a new week. Hope everybody's weekend was fine. And thank you so much, Philip, for opening the contributions. You always hit me up every time I get to the next 1,000. And I really appreciate that. Say JHC, a curse and a blessing, a curse to my bank account. I'm sorry. So congrats on 75K. No shocker. Hope you cooked today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that support. I appreciate that support. So, thank you, Ruminant. So, thank you for taking one for the team so we don't have to. Yeah, I saw it. I saw the woman king. My stance didn't change. Stance not changing. It's just as ridiculous as I thought. Show of hands, who actually saw it? I'm not going to ask no questions as to how you saw it, but put a 1 in the chat if you were able to watch it. Okay? No, it ain't no judgment because I watched it myself. And I watched it so I can know what I'm talking about. But put a 1 in the chat if you watched it. Okay. A couple of people watched it. Okay. No, just a couple of people. Okay. And you know what? It's cool because we shouldn't give it money. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't give it money. So I appreciate those who went to see it. I definitely appreciate your honesty. So a couple of us actually, this isn't about spoilers or anything like that. So this is not going to be a movie review, especially not in the traditional sense of that. So I'm not here to rate it and all of those sorts of things. Hey, Dr. Sherry. So this isn't going to be like a movie review. The movie was bad. And one thing I'll say is that we got to stop being entertained. We got to stop stopping at whether a movie entertained us or not. Because they're meant to be entertaining. First of all, I am going to say this. As a writer, as a person who writes fictional stories, I've probably completed about 6 fan fiction novels. 3 for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 3 for The Predator, and a whole host of one-shots. I've done like other writings, poetry. So as a writer, right? Thank you, Torrance. I heard the PC people who saw it loved and clapped based on someone I'm familiar with who saw it. Tells me all you need to know about this movie. Glad you said that, Torian, because that's who the movie was for. Thank you, Theo. Thank you, Theo Johnson, so much for your contribution. So just as a person who writes fictional characters and character building and, storyline building, subplotting, and all of this sort of thing, and I happen to think I'm pretty good. My writing has evolved over the years, but I happen to think I'm pretty decent with it. From that standpoint, I didn't like the writing of the movie. I didn't like the writing, period. But from a creative standpoint, I don't think the movie was very well written. It moved from one thing to another, and it was like, for real, this how we moving the story along? Like, it wasn't no real good ways to move. Plots need vehicles. Good plots have good plot vehicles. And a plot vehicle is the thing that moves the story along. The reasons why the story moves on. But I'm not even going to get into that. Thank you, Chris. So after this weekend, I learned some black folks don't want to know the truth. That's a point. So here are the writers, the producers, and the directors, okay, of this movie. The director, I do believe, is biracial. The rest of these women are European. Okay? They wrote this movie about black people for their people. It wasn't for us. One moment. So these are the individuals behind the writing and the producing and the directing of this movie. Torian made a very good point. Would be a bunch of PC people standing up cheering for this movie because the movie was them talking about us behind our back to our face, to each other and to the world. This movie was not for black people in the sense of this is not a movie for our edification, for our upliftment, for opening our eyes. This movie wasn't about introducing us to a part of our history or anything like that that could have a positive spin or that could have a positive denotation for us. It is not like that. By the way, I'm gonna ask something very off topic. I got glasses that are anti-reflective. As a viewer, just put a 1 in the chat if this is better for the glare in my glasses. I've been trying to deal with that. But anyway, Coffee Cafe. Thank you so much, Coffee Cafe. Okay, I'm gonna remember that. Panther was fiction and showed black people in positive and functional roles that we could excel and grow from as a people. The Dahomey were dysfunctional and a cautionary tale at best, nothing more. Thank you so much. And okay, I'm glad that this is helpful to the people viewing. Thank you. The way in which this story was written portrayed the Agoji, portrayed the what is now modern day Benin or the Dahomey civilization as a place that had a king, but it was missing the 4 P's. This was a place that was written with a black man as a king, supposedly in charge, yet the place lacked all 4 P's, or it was dysfunctional in all 4 P's. And yes, Lupita did turn this roll down. Thank you, Miss Lupita. Because when we think about the 4 P's in a society, and you have a kingship that is led by men, what you expect is that the 4 P's are going to be prolific throughout the society. We're not talking about one-to-one. We're talking about a society that has structure. And a society that has a good structure, that has a proper structure, is oftentimes a successful society. And a society that does not have good structure, that struggle in the 4 P's, that struggle with provision, that struggle with problem solving, that struggle with protection, that struggle with procreation, usually they're going to struggle all the way around. So we have a society where black men are technically in charge of it, yet the provision is a struggle because they're tied in between whether or not they're gonna continue with the slave trade and making their wealth that way, or are they going to begin to trade and sell in their natural resources, such as the palm oil? He had to be shown, although he was the king, he was unaware. He had to be shown that, hey, we produce on a mass scale palm oil. Like, we have natural resources that we can utilize in order to expand our wealth. What kind of king doesn't know exactly what kind of natural resources he has in the land that he's presiding and ruling over? What kind of king, other than an impotent, incompetent, know-nothing kind of king? Thank you, Fresh Out. Says, salute, Crimson. We love your work and the channel. You're amazing. Thank you so much. So only an incompetent king doesn't know we have this kind of agriculture. We've got that kind of agricultural resource. We can grow this. We can grow that. You know, we can mine. There's precious metals here. There are precious minerals that we've discovered, and we're able to process this stuff to make it usable, to make it trade. You know, we got spices, or we have, you know, animals, and we can do leather, or we can do food. Whatever the case may be, a king that is competent, that is a leader, knows all of this stuff, and he knows this stuff because he has a council that is consistently and continuously making him aware of the current state of his kingdom. So he isn't necessarily going out every day checking to see what he got. What he has is the minister of agriculture, let's just say. He got the minister of agriculture. That one is responsible for saying, you know what, we can grow these kinds of crops. We grow these kinds of crops. And this is worth such and such on the world market. So a king has a cabinet. He has a council of individuals that are heads of different aspects of the kingdom, or are in charge of different aspects of the kingdom, or have knowledge of different aspects of the kingdom and the surrounding kingdoms. His diplomats, the people who are responsible for making communication and having communication with other neighboring tribes, nations, to know whether these tribes and nations are hostile, to know whether they're friendly. Can we trade with them? Are they dangerous? Do we need to watch our back with them? He meets with other heads of state, so on and so forth. And this is coming from a person that don't really get mobility all that much. I'm not here to pretend like I know, right? But it just makes sense. This king did not have a council. He didn't have a proper council. They showed him in a couple of meetings. Thank you, Mr. Vincenzo. Said, you've been on fire lately. Keep growing our minds. Thank you so much. So they showed him having a couple of meetings and all of that type of thing. But they didn't really show him dealing with a council. They didn't show him as a competent leader. So the provision, he was unsure of the method in which he would provide for the people in his kingdom, which goes into problem solving, because they had an issue with the Oyo Empire. They had an issue with the French. They had an issue with the Mahi Empire. How to solve those problems? How to either have diplomacy or how to conduct war. Do you need diplomacy or war? Is it more beneficial for the Dahomey people to have diplomacy or war? Because a king has to ultimately make that decision. What's best? What's the problem solving? He didn't know which way to go. Protection. Bad. It was bad. If you watch the movie, how many of you noticed that folks could walk in and out of that palace at will? I don't know no movie that was meant to show a kingdom or whatever, whether they were showing a struggling kingdom or whether they were showing a kingdom that was really on top of their game. I've never seen a place where you could just walk through and the guards just open the gate. Thank you, MS Delta guys, that keep doing good work, sister. Thank you so much. So they having their little ceremonies and they, you know what I'm saying, doing what they got to do. They honoring the king, blah, 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 blah. And the Oyo general just walked in with all kind of hostilities. He walked in with a threat in his mouth. He walked in talking smart to the king. He walked in making demands. He walked in like he owned the place. He didn't get a knife to his neck. He didn't get his head blown off. He didn't even so much as get stopped at the door. Like, hey, you know, we doing our little program, you feel me? You can't just walk through, you can't just, do you got a ticket? You ain't even got no ticket? No, see, because if you don't got no ticket, you can't come through without a ticket. You at least got to have a ticket. Did you have an invitation? If you ain't got no invitational ticket, I don't know how you going to get in here. Because this is by invitational ticket. Thank you, Miss Dawn. Said they made it like his chaotic wife was actually calling shots. And when not allowed, she had tantrums. We gonna get to that. Thank you, D. So I'm sending a super chat because you actually paid to see that movie. I can't. Okay. Thank you so much, D. Don made a very good point. This is a part of that emasculation of men. Because you notice anytime that there is a lot of masculine women in a society, there's also a lot of effeminate men. And the only men that were allowed in the palace grounds were the eunuchs, the ultimate effeminization of a man, cutting his stuff off. So he walking around like this. Honey. I don't know. Keeping up trouble in the palace. Between the wives, which were feminine, by the way, and also portrayed as evil, manipulative, backstabbing. We have to remember who's writing this stuff. The dynamic between the men and the women. Let's get to the dynamic between the women and the women. Because I just touched on it, but let me really talk about it. There was a battle of wills between feminine black women and masculine black women. The masculine black women, the Ogoji, were so revered that you couldn't look at them by the order of the king. You couldn't really look them in their eyes. The feminine women, which were portrayed as the king's wives and consorts, were portrayed as these highly manipulative, backstabbing, some of them are somebodies that try to keep up a bunch of mess and try to come in between the power of the king and come in between his authority and come in between his relationship with his generals, specifically Viola's character. So we basically have the demonization of feminine black women. Thank you, France. Said it's good to see more viewers watching your channel. Keep growing and teaching, Lioness. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We got a lot of points, and we're not even halfway through the show. So actually, I'm making decent time, better time than I thought. So the dynamic between the women was really interesting. Going back to the dynamic of the men and the provision, the one thing that black men usually and consistently provide to themselves, to their families, to their civilizations, and to the world at large is spiritual competence, spiritual compass, spiritual stability, and morality. That's missing. That's missing. The men in the movie were portrayed as monstrous, as incompetent, as bloodthirsty, dull-witted, and physically and mentally inferior to the women. Because we saw it in the trailer, but that moment in the film where they have a male soldier and one of the female soldiers with the spear, chest to chest or whatever, shoulder to shoulder, and she's backing him up out of the circle. That is both a physical dominance of men, a male soldier trained to fight and kill, but it is also a dominance of willpower, a force of will. That she had more willpower. She had more heart. Do you understand the problem of that? How problematic that actually is for two soldiers, one male, one female. A man who is biologically designed to go into war. Biologically designed to fight. Biologically designed to be able to take more pain, to be able to overlook more pain, especially if his adrenaline is up, especially if it's a life or death situation. This is why soldiers have been men historically throughout any civilization. They have been men. Because men, the willpower of men, that indomitable, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to push past this, whether it's mental stress, physical pain, to train the mind over the body, even if it's hurt. You can have half your arm blown off, and you still gonna have to trudge through. You're gonna have to make it. And to have her over and above him in a test of wills was absolutely ridiculous. The other form of provision that was missing in this society was male support of femininity. So that the women of the society didn't really aspire to femininity. They aspired to these masculine warriors. So that the co-star of the movie, it was also focused on a young recruit. The movie was as well as Viola's character. She's a little bitty little thing, this other character, that the other main character. She a little bitty waif of a girl. She ain't no big old girl. She a little bitty waif, little for a 19-year-old girl, small. I'm talking real petite. I'm talking real short. I'm talking super, she built like a girl. Ain't no muscles to it. She about 100 pounds wet and wearing boots. You understand me? She ain't had no bulk. She light. Okay, lightweight. Had her pushing grown men till they fall down. I can't even really push a grown man till he fall down. And I'm not necessarily considered a petite woman. I'm not no waif. I'm not no 100 pounds or nothing like that. And if I rush up and push a man, he barely gonna step back. I ain't pushing him down. But there's a lot for us to cover. And before I really get to that, let's go ahead and take this break. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
Thank you for joining the A-Game Zoom meeting. Juan, start us off with your financial projections.
Oh, golly, Wally, what is that?
Wait, does he even know he's live?
Why are his pants so tight? Oh, you just got the... Is he pop locking?
He does have moves. Go on.
Or the breakdance?
Ooh, I hope he doesn't split his tight pants.
Oh, go on. Go, eat the birthday. Go on, eat the birthday.
You better clap yourself like you work. In there dancing around like you crazy.
Okay, that was pretty good. Now that Juan has given us his unauthorized dance routine, does anyone else have a dance routine they want to do? Okay, well, let's get back to showing the world why A-Game is the #1 herbal solution in the world. However, I kind of want to know why his pants were so tight too. But let's get back to being on our A-Game.
Y'all know I like that commercial because it's so funny, right? It's so funny. I like it that he's dancing around. The clap yourself back to work is the funniest thing. But before we get back to the show, we gotta talk about A-Game, 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 And we gotta talk about the fact that A-Game is the #1 herbal support for men's health. It boosts his vitality, his energy, his strength, and his libido. The men in my life use A-Game. They swear by it. They do not go any amount of time without their A-Game. Really, because it boosts that mental focus, which is so important for men, because men are in a constant state of building, of problem solving, of protecting, all of these sorts of things, providing that masculine light. All of these things take work, and it takes his energy, and it takes his focus. And sometimes it's easy to kind of get off and not have the type of energy that you need for all of this work that men do. But we do have A-Game, and A-Game is the solution for that, for every man, because it's 100% natural, doesn't have any, animal byproducts or any artificial ingredients or anything like that. So if you want to become part of the A-Game family and get on the road to improving your overall health, all you have to do is hit the link at the top of the chat with agameherbal.com, and don't forget your 10% discount using the code Kendra10 to get this box of awesomeness delivered to you ASAP. Okay. So here's the thing. Before we really get back into everything, my job over here on the Crimson Cure is to inform and or teach red pill women about our opposition, about our opponents in this white survivalist society, and how to identify it and combat it in our daily lives, right? This is the whole point. This is why I'm going over this stuff. Because we need to understand what's going on. We need to understand who's telling this story and why they have a vested interest in telling these stories to us or about us. Because here's the thing that we got to really consider. Here's the thing that we got to really consider. If you think about the trailer, if you think about what was shown to us in the trailer, put a 1 in the chat if the trailer had you thinking that the Dahomies was going to be fighting against the French and the Europeans. Put a 1 in the chat. Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you thought by the trailer that the Dahomey were going to be primarily fighting against the French and the European. Exactly. Who were they really fighting? Somebody go ahead and put it in the chat. Who were they sneaking up on? Who throats was they slitting? Who was they cutting in half? Who was they burning and looting? Black men. They were fighting the other black men. They wasn't really going up against the French army or the French slavers. They didn't portray these women and this society and those soldiers because they were male soldiers. They were focused on the Agoge, but there were male soldiers. And the male soldiers in the Dahomey army were portrayed as not as good, not as physically strong, not as mentally tough, and not as competent at war than the females. So they was not showing no black women or men for that matter going up against no Europeans and whooping no butt and taking no names. Okay? Although that was what we was led to believe that we were going to see. That's what we thought we was going to see, y'all. You think these was going to let us see some black women dominating they men? Let's be real. Let's be really, really real today. Do you think these white women was going to write and produce a movie that was going to show black people, black women, or whatever, overcoming white men and forcing white men out of their society and uplifting their own society? Let's go over a few points. Because I need that to marinate. I need y'all to marinate on that point. See, they'll show Wonder Woman whooping up a bunch of white men, but that's her. They ain't going to show no black people doing that. They're not going to show black people overcoming colonization. They ain't going to show it. They're going to show an incompetent black male leader. They're going to show black men that don't love black women. There was not one relationship between black men and black women in the Dahomey civilization that was any good. They didn't show that king loving on his wives. Where was his babies at? All them wives and no babies? Huh? All them women in the palace that belonged to him? And it wasn't no kids? You didn't see him hugging on them and loving on them and having affection with them? The young girl who was the other co-star in the movie, you didn't see her father loving on her? You saw her father trying to give her in marriage to men who was abusive to her, because that's always the narrative, that black men are abusive. That black men hate black women. That at any given opportunity, they will use black women. With rape and beatings and tortures and dismissal of her femininity. So why should she be feminine when she don't get nothing for it? When there's no reward for it? That's what they showing black women. Ain't no reward for you being feminine. All the reward, all the accolade, all the wonderful, positions in society are reserved for masculine black women. So be masculine. They showing you a place with some type of infrastructure, but they don't credit the men for it. It's just going. It's just happening by magic. Do you believe in magic? It's just happening by magic. They never once say that black men are building and have built and are maintaining the infrastructure. They're portraying war as some type of joke. Like it's not brutal. War is something that men do. War is something that men do. War is the thing that men came up with as the ultimate conflict resolution. Am I lying or am I not lying? War is the ultimate conflict resolution. We done talking, that didn't work. We tried diplomacy, that didn't work. I told you get out my face or else I'm going to whoop you up. So you need to just go ahead, do what I'm trying to get you to do, because it's going to be problematic for you. That didn't work. I tried to put some economic, barriers there. I sanctioned you. That didn't work. Still hard head. Okay. All right then. Conflict resolution number 1 didn't work. Conflict resolution number 2 didn't work. Number 3, 3 strikes you out. And I told you that. The next time you just gonna have to see me. You just gonna have to see me. You're gonna have to see me. And you're gonna have to see me on that battlefield. Because we done already tried to do this. So since you hard-headed or I'm hard-headed, either way, you ain't gonna bow, I'm not gonna bow, we might as well see each other. May the best man win, may the best army win, and whoever else up, that's who gotta submit. Case closed. If you whoop me or I whoop you, I conquer you or you conquer me, then we'll get it together. That's conflict resolution. That's conflict resolution for men. Men fight to resolve conflict among themselves. Men fight. Men fight. You can see 2 little toddler boys will do that. He took my toy. Give him back his toy. No. Little boy go over there try to take the toy. No. They gonna get to doing a little toddler tussle. And one toddler gonna haul off and hit the other one. And he gonna cry. Whoever cry first, that's who lost. And the other one take the toy. Thank you, Mike. So I saw the movie with my family yesterday. I called it Color Purple with Weapons. It was Color Purple with Weapons because every man was Mr. Show black men as monsters. They hurt you. They do. They had to have that narrative in there that the reason why the women were in the position they were in the Dahomey civilization was because of the monstrosity of the men and the toxicity of the men, which in reality, that's not why those women were in that position in that society. They were in that position because their men were constantly either being killed, captured, or sold into slavery. So the population of men was greatly declined. That's why women were even introduced into the battlefield to begin with, because just bodies at that point. That the men lacked intelligence. Like I said, no good relationship between the men and the women, the black men and the black women, no good relationship. Let's talk about the love interest. That one was a real interesting thing. The young girl that was the co-star was a 19-year-old virgin girl. She was not running around a thought. She was not running around no type of, disgraced girl or anything like that. This girl had never had a man or no sexual contact at all or nothing. Yet, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler, yet she was able to meet a half white, half they homie man that grew up white. He grew up in the French culture. She was able to meet that man. She had one meeting with that man in the forest. Saw him naked. Wasn't even shame or shy or bashful or none of that femininity or virginal energy. Thank you, Just My 4 Cents. Said watching Michelle and Barack on TV was the best love story I've seen on TV, played out in real time for 2008 and 2012. Thank you so much. No type of bashfulness. Later on, we see that he maneuver around, I'm not going to say how, and he procure her a safe zone to be at. What was her payment? How she repay him? Just, you ain't even have to see the movie. How she repay him? How she repay him? For providing her a temporary safe space. How she repay that man? She busted open. She gave him the goodies. She gave that man the goodies. This is a virgin. This is a young girl that has never, ever had sexual contact with any man for any reason. That had never in this movie demonstrated any type of 304 or whorish attitude at all. None. She really had a lot of purity, really. She was a little defiant, but she wasn't no whore. But they had a home. These women had a home. That a young virgin girl in the 1800s of the motherland in Africa could engage in a sexual transaction with a man as a virgin and have her walk away from that man without so much as a feeling bad or feeling some type of way or nothing. Show you what they telling you about black women. See, they hoes. They born hoes. Even the virgin ones is hoes. Even the women that have never had sex with a man is a hoe. She can always enter into the transaction without no feelings, without no attachment, without no heart, without no feminine anything. That man didn't grape her. He didn't take it. He didn't take it. That's not how they portrayed that. He didn't bully her into it. That's not how they portrayed that. She gave it up. Because the next thing you know, she putting on her clothes. Taught how not to love. She was taught The women taught each other that loving and giving your heart and all of that type of stuff as a woman, all of these feminine things are giving away your power as women. That gives your power to men. Thank you, Randy, said another Hollywood hex job. That said it's good to get this from a woman's perspective, a black woman's perspective. And thank you so much. We might go a little bit over, but not too much over because we almost done. So I thought that was really profound for them to be able to show a virgin girl give up her virginity real smooth, real easy, like she had been doing that and she had not. And then look at him like, we had a good time, but I got to roll because me and my crew, we out of here. The promotion of partnership. Let me clarify what woman king meant in this movie. Because it is a position in the movie, the woman king is a position that a woman can be promoted to. And she's almost the co-ruler with the king. She's on par with him in authority and in rulership of the civilization. So he didn't abdicate the throne. And she's not his queen. She's his peer, his equal in rulership and authority. That's what woman king was about. That's what that title was. And you can guess who got promoted to that title. She it's my boy. That's what it was. This my dude right here. This my dude. Any kind of masculine way you want to put that. This my ace boom coon right here, You know how dudes hug? They do the one arm come in with the shoulder. That's when two dudes that's straight, but they glad to see each other. So that's their version of the hug. Y'all know how it is. Y'all men, y'all know. Y'all done did that to y'all best friend or your whatever, your brother or whoever. You come in with the one shoulder. If you really cool with them, you give them 2 pats on the back. Then you pull away. You might have one of these, and then that's it. I don't watch men long enough. I know that's how y'all show affection with one another. It showed a lot of stubborn, hard-headed black women, real defiant. It showed something that you don't see a whole lot of in movies, and that's women getting actually cut and shot and maimed and killed in battle by men. You don't really see that. But you saw it here with black women. You saw it here with black women. Even when you think about Justice League, who saw Justice League? If you saw Justice League, Snyder Cut is my favorite, by the way. When Steppenwolf and his little army, whatever, invaded the Amazons, they fought. But you didn't see them gutting Amazons. You didn't see them gutting them women. You didn't see them slicing throats. that. You didn't see the blood. You didn't see the gore. I mean, this dude, that was dudes. Because they was constantly fighting black men. They were dudes that was like with the 1-2, 2-piece to the body, roundhouse to the jaw, haymaker to the jaw. These black women. The most you see is, they'll hem up a white girl. They'll choke her or something. Throw her across. She get up a little woozy. That's about it. If they do something like gut, you don't see it. You don't see the knife entering. You don't see. She just died. But they were showing the 3-piece to the ribs. You see what I'm saying? Can't no woman deal with that. Especially big as these dudes was. And you got this dude like 6'2", a solid 235. With the haymakers, with the hands. To the jaw. Come on. I'm going to say one more thing and then I'm going to bring this to present day because there's a present day tie to all of this. There's a present day tie to all of these things. Not to mention, not only was you seeing black men decimating these women, but you saw black women take the heads of black men and throw them like we declaring war with y'all. A basket full of heads, black men's heads, not white men's heads, not French slavers' heads. A lot of times you saw them women bypass the white men to get to the black men to fight them. You saw in many instances in this movie where the women could have attacked and killed the white men who were not really prepared to fight. Could have got rid of them easy, went around them to get to the black men. Thank you, 39 Dina. Typically in war, women and children are off limits. What this movie did was put black women and children on the menu. Thank you, Coach Keith, said classic dehumanizing, masculinizing black women. Yes. I'm going to talk a little bit more about procreation. Because the only procreation they had in this movie was twofold. The transaction of sex and the grape of women by black men. To reinforce a couple of things. It reinforced that between black men and black women, procreation is only what? Somebody put it in the chat. It reinforced that procreation only consists of one thing between black men and black women. What is it? What is it? Somebody put it in the chat for me. It's just sex. It's just sex. Whether it's grape or whether it's the transaction, consensual transaction, it's just sex. It reinforces us that procreation doesn't have anything to do with love. That it doesn't have anything to do with affection. no matter what the relationship is between black men and black women, black men don't love black women, and they don't provide proper procreation to them. That young girl's father got angry with her because he tried to marry her off. The guy that he was trying to marry her off to smacked her. She pushed him. Now this is a man who raised this girl all her life. Never once did they show or portray a loving relationship between this girl and the man that raised her. Raised her to be a virgin and pure and have self-respect, to be of good mind and good sound character to where he can marry her off. Never once he sat down and had a conversation with the daughter and said, what's going on with you? Why you don't want to be married off? What's happening with you, my daughter? Talk to your father. I'm your IB. I'm your BB. Talk to your BB. I'm saying the word BB. That's procreation. That's that masculine love and affection and support of black women's femininity. There was no area or part of this movie where you saw that interaction of black men in any capacity sit down and speak to his daughter or anything like that with love and care and concern. And this reinforces, thank you, Too Tall, this reinforces another thing, that black men don't have and don't provide the masculine structure that supports black women being soft and feminine. That black men are incapable of that level and that depth of procreation. That don't got nothing to do with sexual contact. Thank you, Real Bravado Network. And when he got angry with her, instead of talking to her, instead of having a father-daughter moment with her, he just threw her to the king. I'm giving my daughter away to the king. Like, because he doesn't have the capacity as a parent to parent his daughter that he'd been parenting for 19 years. That he'd been providing structure to. That he'd been problem solving for. That he's been protecting, that he has been procreating with, providing environments that make her feel safe and that make her feel loved. They act like black men don't know how to do that. They act like black men don't know what to do with that. My daddy was one of the toughest men that I have ever known. He didn't take no smack off nobody. You understand me? He didn't take no smack off nobody for no reason. You step up to him, that's a problem. Because he didn't have no bag down. Wasn't no jelly back from my daddy at all. None. But when I was a little girl, he was actually teaching me how to ride a bike. My daddy taught me how to ride a bike. He said, all you gotta do, keep your balance. That's all you gotta do. So he would grab the back of the bike. He said, I got you. He said, because my kids don't need no training wheels. You will get it. He would grab the back of the bike seat and he would hold it. And I would be pedaling and wobbling and all this other kind of stuff. So one time, he acted like he was holding it and I was riding. And I said, ooh, Daddy, I'm riding. And I happened to look back and he wasn't holding it. And as soon as I realized that my daddy wasn't holding me, I fell. You know what he did? One of the toughest street dudes. Man, my daddy didn't take no smack. What'd he do? My daddy came right over there. And he picked me up. I couldn't have been no more than about 6 or 7. And he picked me up because now I'm whining because I done scraped my knee. He said, come here, baby. Come here. You'll do it. Come on. We forget that old knee. Forget that old knee, okay? We gonna forget that old knee. That knee all right. And you know what he did? He said, mwah. He said, mwah, mwah, to my knee. He said, that feel better? You gonna try it again? And next time, he let it go and I rode. Procreation. He took time to recognize that I was his little baby girl. And she done fell and scraped her knee. Now she whining. He didn't say, get up, you ugly, and you know how to ride no bike. And he didn't do that. He didn't do that to me. And stupid, you know, he didn't do that. He didn't do none of that. Them the only times I could ever say I seen like softness and like my dad's feminine side. He would kill me if he heard me say that. On the other hand, when he was dealing with my brother, he was teaching my brother how to box. He was teaching my brother how to fight. He was teaching him, you know, you stand like this and you put your feet like this and you crouch down like, you know, he teaching him. So my brother had to be like 13, 14, something like that. And he was teaching, you know, you go to the body and blah, 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 blah. And my brother wasn't no crybaby, but he didn't like losing. You know what my daddy told my brother? Man, come on. Gotta shake that off. Get up. I'm your daddy. I'm doing it because I love you. Somebody else is going to take your head off. Let's go. Let's go. You know what my brother did? Got up. Let's go. Black men know how to love. They know how to love. And you got these running around here trying to tell you that they don't know. That black men don't know how to love. They only know how to have sex, but they don't know how to love. And that's so untrue. And it drives the wedge between us. It drives such a hard wedge between black men and black women. To show an entire group of people ran by black men that don't got no 4 Ps. Where has that ever happened? This movie has justified black women and children being targets. Because if this society break down and stuff like that, black women are not going to be seen as soft and vulnerable and in need of protection. They're going to be woman kings. They're going to be woman kings. Equal to men in every possible way. Physically, mentally. This movie was not for us. This movie was about us. They telling the world, these women right here, this producer, this writer, this co-writer, this director is telling the world, look at these dysfunctional, masculine women and these pathetic, dysfunctional, feminized men. This is who they are. This is who they are. These women will never be soft like us. And those men will never be men like our men. They'll always be pathetic. You had a king that didn't know which way he needed to take his whole civilization. No vision. Because our men can't have a vision. Because they're not good leaders. Because black men are not good leaders. So black women, like I said before we even watched the movie, black women got to solve black men's problems. Black women got to come up with the solutions. Black women got to provide the solutions. Black women got to protect. Black women are the ones that only have love among each other to the exclusion of the men because the men are monsters. I could go on and on. Thank you, Torian. So when you think about these conversations that are held online, the gender war ones, makes you wonder where they got the inspiration from. One could argue these spaces practically wrote the script for this movie. And that's a point, but see, where we get the gender war from? We got that from white survivalism. We got that from these colonizers. That promote, black women gotta be equal to black men when that's not how they carry their household and their culture and the dynamic between them and they men. One of the writers gonna sit there and say, I was just watching Braveheart and I was thinking, why come we can't have a woman version of Braveheart, but write it with white women in? If you want a woman version of Braveheart, write it with white women. Write up some Viking white women and make a story about that. And make them equal to the Viking kings. Make them whoop up men twice their size and 10 times their strength. And make them defy them white men and don't get their head cut off for it. Why you got to do it with black women? Thank you, Miss Raven. So they want this image to forever portray our people so that it'll justify them killing us off and reducing us to serving their lost value system. Precisely. Beautifully put. And we gonna keep on buying it. Because we go to these movie theaters and we watch this stuff and we get entertained by it and we get sidetracked because it was entertaining and there was fight scenes in it. And we don't take a look at the deeper, profound messages that are underneath that speak to our subconscious. It's more than what we see on the screen. It's what it say to us here. They're not trying to make us better. And we know that. We got to stop getting sidetracked by it was entertaining. Got to stop doing that. That's why we let the music degrade like we did, because the beat was banging. I hope I didn't miss anything. But I thought this deserved a part 2. I really did. I thought it deserved us to circle back around to this movie. So I hope it was helpful, because we have to watch this stuff. That's how colonization works. It goes to the subconscious and you act it out. Before I go, I want to draw everyone's attention to the petition that we have against Black Lives Matter as an organization. We are so close. We are just above 7,100 signatures. Let's get to 7,500 signatures because we had 75,000 subscribers. Just make it 75 all the way across the board, because we are still holding Black Lives Matter accountable for the more than $100 million theft away from the Black community. So my mods have graciously placed the link to the petition in the chat room. Please go ahead and sign it, share it, and contribute to it. Also, I want to thank everyone for their contributions to the show through Super Chat, through PayPal, and through Cash App. I want to thank everyone for their likes and participation. Last but not least, I want to thank my support team, without which I cannot have brought you any of this content. So thank you so much to them. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.